Jai Hind everyone. Welcome to my YouTube channel, which is Explore Yourselves, Banking and General Knowledge, etc. Memoir of my banking journey by Mr. V.H. Ramakrishnan, Retired General Manager of Bank of India. Episode number 30. The chapter My Experiences as a Branch Manager is continuing. The link of earlier episodes is available in description. A threat. We had very good customers. With my background in financing small scale industries, I remember financing setting up of a small engineering workshop with four partners. Three of them were young and had diplomas in engineering. The fourth one was a senior person with good administrative skill. It was an ideal combination. They did very well. I still remember some of the good customers. Many were in jaggery trading or in transport business. There was one customer who was operating a fleet of buses. We always had problem with him. He would issue checks without funds which would be presented through clearing. We had to contact his accountant who would come in the last minute to deposit cash. Almost every day this was being repeated. I had never met the owner. My colleagues told me that he was a person with a lot of political contacts and was like a dada. Anyway, one day I decided to return the checks. Immediately I got a call from him. He abused me and told me that he would get me transferred to a Thaniyallakadu, a place where no water would be available. I just told him to go ahead, but nothing happened. For the next few days, the account was operated properly. Then again, the same old story. I do not remember now whether he moved his account to another bank. I am sure every branch would have such type of customers. An unexpected call. I had just completed a year and a few months. I think it was sometime in October 1977. One fine morning, I received a call from Mr. T.S. Balaraman from the regional office. Mr. Balaraman, a qualified chartered accountant, had joined the bank much earlier to me. He retired as a DGM. He was very strong in credit and was in charge of the credit department at regional office. He was the man Friday for Mr. Paramasaran. He was always consulted for all transfers and postings. Mr. Balaraman asked me whether I was willing to come back to Madras. The regional office had been shifted from Erabullu Chetty Street to Garuda Buildings at Cathedral Road. A new branch was to be opened on the ground floor. He said Mr. Parameswaran wanted a non-controversial person as manager of the branch. There was a background to this view. Regional office and Madras main branch were in the same building. In 1969, both were shifted to a new owned building in Iravallu Chetty Street. Earlier, the regional manager was also functioning as the manager of Madras branch. But for all practical purposes, there was a sub-manager who was running the branch. Later on, with expansion of branches in South, a separate manager was appointed for Madras branch and the regional manager was looking after the whole of South. Somehow as years went by, some irritants developed between Madras branch and the regional office. It was rumored that this was one of the reasons for the regional office moving to different premises and wanting a non-controversial person as the manager of the branch below the regional office. There was another reason. Madras branch needed more space. We could not make the tenants vacate as they were on the long lease. Many years later, the regional office, renamed as zonal office, returned to Irabul Chitti Street. Tenants had vacated. IFB and overseas branch were set up, so the credit and forex departments got depleted. Balaraman told me that there was one hitch. If the bank transferred me on its own, there would be criticism that I was being favored since I was in Chennai since 1966 and went out only a year before. I never registered any transfer. I will write later as to why I was retained in Chennai since 1966. Besides, as per the then prevailing rule, if the bank transferred me, they would have to pay rupees 2000 rupees 250 per month for 1 year as a disturbance allowance. If I requested for a transfer, then they need not pay that allowance. So Mr. Balaraman suggested that I should apply for a request transfer and it would be approved. I agreed and applied. Within a week, it was cleared. My performance. At this stage, I have to mention about my performance at Vellore branch. My stay was only for 15 months. I have to admit that as far as business figures were concerned, my performance was nothing to write about. On a scale 1 to 10, I would rate my performance as only between 4 and 5. No spectacular achievements, only consolations was that the figures did not deteriorate. There was some progress. In fact, I remember the managers' conference after the year ended 31st March 1977. While presenting the performance of my branch, I mentioned that my growth was slightly better than the region's growth. Mr. N.B. Subramanian, the area manager, smiled at me and told me, Ramakrishnan, since you were at the regional office for many years, you know how to present the statistics. But with your experiences, we expect much more from you than a statistical justification. I felt a little sad that I could not bring any big deposits. My contribution was in improving the housekeeping and to get more staff. I would say that it was like an apprenticeship for me. I learned a lot. I benefited from Vellore posting more than the branch benefited. I gained confidence that I could function effectively as manager. My successor, Mr. V. Jayaraman, was named as my successor. He was in Tuticorin, senior to me in age. I was waiting to hear from him about the date of his reporting at Vellore. Then one day around 11 a.m., a person walked into my room and asked me where he should unload the goods he had brought. I did not understand head or tail of what he was saying. Then he said that he was coming from Tuticorin and was carrying the household goods of Mr. Jayaraman. I had no prior intimations from Mr. Jayaraman. I booked a call to Tuticorin and spoke to Jayaraman and told him about the truck. He casually told me that he wanted to inform me but forgot about it. Requested me to keep the truck load of goods in my house and that would be coming to Vellore in the following week. I was quite unhappy. Anyway, I had to solve the problem. So I contacted my house owner and he was good enough to spare a vacant garage. I went home, supervised the unloading operations. Mr. Jayaraman landed at Vellore. I found him as a happy-go-lucky man. He would always be humming some tune of a song. Another field level officer, confident of routine banking. He would not get trapped by anything. Tidbits 1. We got some money to be spent for the benefit of staff. I do not remember now under what provision it was sent. Anyway, we decided that we would go for a picnic to Mysore. Almost all the staff, except one or two, joined for the picnic. We arranged a minivan to take us to Mysore. We were about 12 persons, including two ladies. We had booked 6 rooms in a hotel in Mysore. We had planned to reach Mysore by 6 p.m. Accordingly, we had informed the hotel, but somehow we were delayed, maybe due to some breakdown on the way, and reached the hotel by about 10 p.m. The manager of the hotel told us that since we did not turn up till 7 p.m., he had released the rooms for other tourists. He said he could spare only 2 rooms. We are shocked but had no other alternative. We gave one room to the two ladies who happily went and occupied their room. The remaining 10 of us stayed in one room, from the manager to the cleaner. Real socialism, all were equal. While in Chennai, I had composed a humorous song about the bank, in the same tune as Devam Thanta Vidu. This song was very famous in those days. Even now, the song is one of all-time favorites, sung by Jesudas. My song, Bhilai Thanta Bhangikas Irikum, was rendered on the stage by late C. Venkatesh at a cultural functions of the bank and became very popular. While at Vellore, I again composed a song to the tune of another Tamil hit, Machanai Parthigala, changing it to Ajantai Parthingala. Requested my clerk Leela to sing to my lyrics and fine-tuned the same and sent it to Chennai. It was rendered by an officer, Saraswati Sur- Narayan, at the second cultural function. Years later, when I was in Mumbai as GM, I attended the functions of Tamil speaking officers of Bank of India, at which Saraswati, who was in Mumbai at that time, sang the same song. Farewell. The Jagari merchants organized a farewell for me at a hotel which was well attended. It was presided over by one trader who was a well-known local Congress leader. Vellore branch today. I came to know that even today the Vellore branch is functioning with 3 officers and 9 clerks, same as in 1976. This may be due to computerizations, but there is no stenographer now. Branch has shifted to a third premises. Business has gone up. Branches have been opened in Katpadi and some rural areas nearby. Tell peace. When I was in the process of handing over charge to Mr. Jayaraman, one day a customer walked in to greet us. Jayaraman requested him to get us deposits. He in a lighter vein asked Jayaraman, when all nationalized banks are same, what is so special about Bank of India? With a smile, Jayaraman put a counter question in Tamil, the translation of which is, there is God in every temple. Still why more and more people go to Tirupati. I appreciated his presence of mind. Cathedral Road branch, back in Chennai. You always feel good when you are back in known surroundings. It is nice to meet your old friends and colleagues. I was also happy that I could continue my Freemasonry activity. I called on the regional manager, Mr. Parameswaran. He informed me that the branch would be having a currency chest as well. That was to be the first currency chest for Bank of India in Chennai. Location: Cathedral Road was located in a prime area. It was very close to Mount Road and my favorite Woodlands Drive in restaurants. The first flyover in Chennai was built over the roundabout near Gemini Studios. From this roundabout, a wide road led you to the Marina Beach near Gandhi statue. The first part of the road up to the Music Academy was called Cathedral Road, and the second part was called Edward Elliot Road, renamed as Dr. Radhakrishnan Road. At the one end of the road was the US consulate and the drive-in restaurant opposite to it. At the other end was the famous Music Academy. The well-known Stella Maris College for Girls was right in front of our branch. ITC Sheraton Hotel, known as Chola Sheraton, was also opened just when we were opening our branch. Next to the college was the most famous Poets Garden, where the elite of the city were living. The residence of the President Chief Minister Mr. Jayalalitha and superstar Rajinikanth, he moved in later, are also in that colony. The area still continues to be one of the most posh residential localities of Chennai. Premises. The branch was to occupy one half of the ground floor. That itself was very spacious. I remember the manager's cabin was partitioned with a material like plywood, which could be fabricated from outside and fixed. There was a new experiment. I had a big cabin which looked very elegant. I happened to visit the branch about a year back, late in the evening, to draw cash from ATM. The branch is still in the same premises, but the whole ambience has changed with all machines installed inside. SWOT analysis. SWOT analysis was not known in those days, but if I had done that, it would have been like this. Strengths. Chennai was my hometown where I had lived from 1956. I had number of relatives and friends whom I could approach for deposits. Location was very close to posh residential area like Boys Garden and higher middle class area like Gopalapuram. Weakness. Being somewhat introvert, I doubted my capacity to do a sales talk and get business. Opportunity. It was a good opportunity for me to prove myself. Being in the same premises, I would have an advantage of getting things cleared by the regional office first. I can use all my learning at Vellore to perform well. Threat. There was another bank nearby, Lakshmi Vilas Bank. old private sector bank. I did not consider it as a threat. Perhaps they would have considered our bank as a threat. Strategy. I thought besides contacting my friends and relatives, I should also go for door to door canvassing. I also decided to invite all my Masonic Lodge members, all the SSI units owners whom I had financed during my stint at Community Banking Department at a regional office for the inaugurations as well as for deposits. Started making a list. I had enough time at my disposal. Big bonanza. One day Mr. Parameswaran called me. He informed me that he got a call from the local funds audit department of the state government informing him that the government had decided to place their surplus funds with nationalized banks on the basis of credit deposit ratio. As our bank had a high credit deposit ratio in Tamil Nadu, we would be given rupees 35 lakhs. The RM asked me to go the next day to the department and collect the check. He said that could be the initial deposit for the new branch. I felt highly elated and felt grateful to the RM for directing the deposit to me. Next day morning, I went to the department and found half a dozen bankers waiting there. I also found an officer from Mount Road branch, Krishnamani, waiting there. He had also learned about this, but when he saw me with a mandate from the RM, he felt disheartened and left. I really felt sorry for him. After waiting for 4 hours, I was given the check for rupees 35 lakhs. This was in November 1977. I think it was for 1 year. I took the check to Mylapore branch. Mr. P.S. Narayanan was the manager. He was very much delighted to keep the deposit till the opening of my branch. He said that would increase the figure of his average deposits. I came back and told Mr. Parameswaran that I had collected the check. Now he said our goal should be to cross the figure of rupees 50 lakhs for the opening day. No branch was opened with such a high deposit figure in those days in the south. That was a real challenge. With rupees 35 lakhs in the kitty, I was a little optimistic that I could reach that magical figure, but I knew it was a tall order. Door to door canvassing. Since I had enough time, I decided to go for door to door canvassing. It was not an easy decision. My catchment area was the Poise Garden. I went alone. When I was standing in front of the first house, I suddenly felt very nervous. I asked myself, what am I doing? A chartered accountant by qualifications, where am I standing here like a salesman selling soaps in front of a house? I almost lost all the enthusiasm and confidence. My ego was hurt. I thought I should go back to the air conditioned comfort of the office. But then the door opened. A lady inquired what I needed. I informed her about the bank and the branch. She was receptive and assured me that she would inform her husband. I thanked her and came out. I felt slightly better because I was not thrown out by the lady. I gathered courage once again and knocked at the door of the second house. There a gentleman opened the door. I explained the purpose of my visit. He requested me to sit down and asked me the one question. I will give you a deposit of rupees 1 lakh provided my account is the number one account of the branch. In 1977, 1 lakh was a big amount to get from an individual. Without any hesitations, I told him that it would be my first number one SB account holder. He kept his promise and I also kept my word. I came out of the house. Suddenly, I found all my hesitations had vanished. No more inferiority complex. I felt on the top of the world. I forgot all about my qualifications and thought of me as a successful manager. Now I had no hesitations to move from door to door. I met a set of interesting people. One was a former chief secretary, another was a corporate director, businessman, etc. I will never forget Mr. N. Subramanian, a retired ICS officer who was in charge of heavy industries when in service. When I met him, he was the non-executive chairman of Lucas TVS Limited. Luckily, he was well known to my uncle, Bihar Sivaraman, who was the managing director of Wheels India Limited. Otherwise, he would have thrown me out of the houses. He was known as Niruppu Subramanian, Firebrand Subramanian, very short-tempered, but he came to the bank and opened his account. We'll write about him later. I tried to call on Miss Jayalalitha without success. I could only speak to our secretary. After my round of Poets Garden, I was confident of collecting at least rupees 5 lakhs as term deposits. Then I started calling on my relatives one by one. I had positive responses from a number of them. Opening arrangements. It was decided to invite the governor Prabhudas Patwari to open the branch. I accompanied our regional manager to the Raj Bhavan to invite him. He was a very simple person and gladly accepted our invitation. All the safes for currency chest also arrived in time. One advantage in having currency chest at the branch was we could maintain minimum cash at the branch as we could always draw from the currency chest. Now we had one problem. The telephone connections were not given. We had only 1 week to go for the opening. Mr. N.B. Subramanian, the area manager, and I called on the general manager, Madras telephones. He was very rude. Mr. NVS explained to him that the branch was to be opened in a week and that the phone connection was needed very urgently. He replied he did not consult me before fixing the date, so I cannot work to your schedule. Finally, after much pleading, he said he would try his best. We came back without much of a hope. However, the connection was given a day before the opening. Lessons I learned. Plan a strategy to get business while opening a branch. Never feel shy of going door to door for business. It is better to go with another officer as a team. Then you will not feel shy or awkward. Get all the infrastructure ready before opening the branch. Tell peace. When Mr. Mahadevan was the manager of Mylapore branch, Chennai, he got a letter from the assistant general manager, R.C. Mehta. Those days we had only one AGM, expressing dissatisfactions over the growth of deposits. Mahadevan wrote a 3 page letter giving a lot of explanations and about the efforts made by him. Pat came online reply. The time we have spent in writing the letter could have been spent in canvassing for deposits. Grand opening. The branch was opened on 28th December 1977. The function was arranged at the open space in front of the branch, whereas Samyana was put up. I was receiving the guests. Quite a few came with checks. While receiving the checks, I was also mentally adding up the figures. We are inching towards rupees 45 lakhs. I thought we might miss the target narrowly. Then walked in Mr. R. Thegarajan, RT, who is the founder and later group chairman of the well-known Sriram Group. If I have to write about him and my association with him, it may run 2 or 3 chapters. Maybe I'll do it later in a separate series. Now I will confine myself to his positions in 1977. After his postgraduate studies in Indian Statistical Institute, he joined New Indian Assurance Company. Later, he resigned from the New India and was taking care of a small scale unit run by his family. It was in financial difficulties and he turned it around. Meanwhile, he also founded the Serum Cheat Funds. I had met him in 72 or 73 when he came to me regarding funding of SSI unit in Hyderabad, which he wanted to take over. He always believed in taking over sick units and in rehabilitating them. There started a friendship, which continues even today. He is the group chairman of rupees 1000 crore group. In 1977, he took up a job as PRO, Resource Mobilizations for Vyasa Bank. The chairman of Vyasa Bank was an ex-New India executive, a colleague of Mr. Thagarajan. I was happy to receive RT. He surprised me by giving me a check of rupees 5 lakhs from a state government undertaking. He told me that the chairman was his classmate and that he had collected checks for rupees 5 lakhs each for Vyasa Bank and Bank of India. I was overwhelmed. Interesting thing was I never even asked him for deposits. On his own, he brought the deposit. With that check, I was confident that I would cross the magic figure of rupees 50 lakhs. Still, I kept my fingers crossed. The inaugural function went off very well. The governor came on time. The invocation song in Sanskrit was rendered by Sis Savitri, an officer. She is the younger sister of the famous Carnatic musicians Bombay Sisters. After the speeches by the regional manager and the governor, vote of thanks was proposed. I do not remember whether I proposed the same or the area manager. We did it. After seeing off the guests, we went inside. My staff started working out the amount of deposits we had received. There was a loud cheer. Yes, we had crossed rupees 50 lakhs. At the end of the day, we are in fact nearing rupees 51 lakhs. I went and informed that RM and AM about our reaching the target. Both were very happy as it was a record for the South Zone. Opening deposit. My staff. It is time to introduce my staff. Lakshmi Narayanan was the chief cashier, a tall young man who knew his job very well. I will be writing about him and his bold approach to customer service in the course of this narration. The second cashier was Kamal Seth, a Gujarati boy who was also quite customer friendly. He had a family business. Many in Chennai would have heard about Narayanappa Medical Shop in Nungambakkam High Road. That is famous because any medicine you came name would be available there. Later on, though, they also opened another outlet at Annanagar. Kamal would not stay a single second after the working hours and would rush to help his brother. Later on he resigned and became a full-time businessman. Sampath was clerk from typist, very efficient typist, would, would do any work. Sampath Kumar was another clerk, equally efficient. Eti Rogu was my accountant. He had returned from Madhya Pradesh. I found him very confident thorough with the routine. I had noticed one thing, the officers who went to MP or UP or Bihar returned more matured and confident. I could always notice a change in their work style. Raghu was also a no nonsense man. He would finish all the work first and within time would not indulge in any chit chat during office hours. I lost track of him. I do not know whether he quit the bank or got promoted. I had a smart sipai called Ugendran, whom I later on met as cashier of Thagaraya Nagar branch. Stopped boosting. I used to share my happiness with everybody about getting a record deposit of rupees 50 lakhs. A few months later, I went to Bombay for some training. I called on Mr. B.G. Karnik, who was in charge of Bombay zone. He was sitting in Bombay office and occupying the chair once occupied by the great T.D. Kamsara. As I had worked closely with Mr. Karnik in Chennai, I paid courtesy call. He received me well and even ordered coffee. I told him about my creating a record of rupees 50 lakhs on the opening day. I just waiting to hear some congratulatory words from him, but his reaction was totally different. He said, "Do you know I opened branch in Bombay with rupees 1 crore deposit?" I was brought down to earth. I used to wonder as to why he should have talked as if he was one step ahead of me. Further, how anyone could compare Bombay with Chennai. Anyway, from that day onwards, I stopped talking much about my record. Now only I have opened up. Counter service. One day canvas for deposits and succeed, but they cannot be sustained unless it is followed up by good counter service. I was lucky to have excellent staff. One thing which my cashiers Lakshmi Narayanan, Lakshmi ensured was to give crisp new currency notes to the customers. This was possible due to the currency test in the premises. Our counter clerks were proactive and made sure that no customer is left unattended. One day I noticed a customer entering the banking hall and giving a check for drawing cash. Then within a minute he was not to be seen. His check was in processing. I inquired and Lakshmi told me that he was already paid him. What Lakshmi used to do was this. For well-known VIP customers, he would not wait for the check to come to him. He would call them, ask them how much they were drawing and pay them straight away. I request the readers who are cashiers not to blindly follow this. Everybody cannot be Lakshmi. Besides, those days were different, and we had real top class customers. I admired the boldness of Lakshmi. Needless to say, the word of mouth praise for our services brought in more customers. I printed some birthday greeting cards and started sending them to the children who had accounts with us. I do not remember whether I sent it to all customers, but I recollect visiting a customer's house with a chocolate box for his son's birthday. The parents were delighted. I used to keep a box of toffees in my drawer. Whenever a kid came with jar or parents, I used to offer the toffees. Learned it from Bekumis about whom I have written in Facebook. I was surprised when I found that Mr. R.N. Reddy, manager of Miapur branch, Hyderabad, also did the same thing. He offered toffees when I visited the branch with my granddaughter. Our MIC scheme was very popular those days. Though a separate advice was not needed for the credit of interest in the 6B account, we are sending the advices to the customers regularly. A person always feels happy to get an advice saying his account is credited. This was welcomed by the customers. Today I get SMS about credits in our account. Anyway, this practice was discontinued by my successors who felt it was a waste of money. Lessons learned. If I bringing business is one side of the coin, customer service is the other side. Try to do small innovative things in customer service like greeting a customer on his or her birthday. The way to a customer's heart is through his child. Keep toffees in your drawer to give to the kids. There is no need to pester your friends for deposits. Just keep in touch with them. If you pester them, they will run away from you like they do when they see an insurance agent. Acknowledgement. I thank Lakshmi Narayan for confirming correcting the names of the staff members. Tailpiece. Ratnakar was a very popular chairman of Canada Bank. I was told that when he was manager of Chandni Chowk branch, New Delhi, after office hours, he used to visit the market and meet the shopkeepers. He would sit with them and chat with them. This was his daily routine. It resulted in tremendous growth of business. The chapter My Experiences as a Branch Manager will continue. Thank you very much for your patience. Request to like, subscribe, and share.